To trim the tops of these stiles now, I set the piece up here on the bench. You could put it this way and your saw is down lower, but you're pitched at a bit of an angle to come through that. And I find it easier to follow the line when this front of the stool is a plumb line. It brings me up a little higher with my saw, but it's manageable. And I just grab it in the hold fast like that. And work from the outside so I see my line front and back, front and side. And there's often, here I sort of swept that way, and I'll clean that up with a block plane or a chisel or something. So then you just proceed around the stool. It's easiest to do those two opposite ones and then set myself up on the other side to do the next ones. And once those are all trimmed, then you start to check those top edges with winding sticks and see if you need any correction with a plane to make a flat plane of that rim of the top of the stool, because that's where the seat will go. I need to trim this stile. A couple of these stiles, the saw sort of swept up at the end of the cut, and that high point needs to come down. I need the seat to bear out here, and that's higher than this point right now. So how to get at it? If I take this chisel, I want to first chamfer the edge and then plane it. And if I try to chamfer with the bevel up, I'm down here inside the stool. So I just jam the stool between my body and the workbench and work with the bevel down. And this chamfer doesn't need to look like much. It's just to keep things from getting splintery as I plane them off. And it can stop right there at the rail, like that. It's just a little hard to get at. Like that. Come in from below. I'm using this short-handled little, what I call a bench chisel. Sometimes I've seen it called a butt chisel. It's a terrible expression. And that's probably enough of the chamfer. So just allow me then to take a block plane and coming this way and that way, start to bring that down. And you can put the piece on the floor, put your feet on the stretchers as well. Probably get a better result that way. So I'm just starting to plane that down and to get all those out of the way so the perimeter of the stool becomes the point of contact when the seat comes down. Now comes a few fussy steps that we really need to take care of before you can put the seat on the stool. One is trimming the feet, and the other I had just addressed a little bit of trimming the tops of the stiles, and then you plane across the stiles and along the short rails usually, just to make sure everything up there is as it should be. The way to check it is with winding sticks. So I set those right out on the the edge across the stiles and the rail. Check the long way, and then also worthwhile to do the same this way. And that's going to save a lot of problems later when you're fitting the seat. And I have already looked at this and made a couple of adjustments. Mostly, as I said, on the short rails. The long rails, because of this angle, the tops of the long rails fall under. So all it really matters with the long rails is way out on that corner there. So once I've got those the way I like them, then I prop the stool up here on the bench, and some people might throw a level on here to see that this is standing plumb, but that means your bench and your floor need to be level, and neither of mine are, I'm sure. So all I do is put a straight edge across there and measure up. That's 20 7/8 to the underside of that straight edge, and then take the same reading over here, and it's the same in this case, which doesn't help you at all. If yours is off, then you need to shim under the legs this way or that to bring it into agreement, left and right. And once you've done that and you like where it sits, then it's time to scribe around those feet. Traditional way to do it is just with a pair of compasses, and this set is nice because the legs of them are square in cross section, not round. So I can set that compass to a little bit higher than the space where the foot is up off the bench. A little bit higher because I want to have some wood to saw off there. And then just scribe all the way around all the legs, so you find whichever height is the greatest and set the compass according to that. You want to be careful not to tilt the compass this way or that as you're coming around, and that's why that flat is nice on these. And just draw it like so, go all the way around. Now this will make a light scribed line, and some people want a pencil line they can see. You can pretty much do the same thing, get a spacer block that equals that dimension you want, and then just walk around the leg like that, and carry that all the way around, and then trim those feet just like we were trimming the tops of these. And invariably there's a little bit of wiggle here and there, and you might need to take a block plane under those feet to make it sit. You want a flatter surface than my bench to really test it on. And so those are the steps. To do the final marking of the feet, I added one thing. I grabbed the stool with a holdfast and piece of scrap on the stretchers, so it's going to stay in position. And here you see that pair of compasses, and I'll just carry those lines all the way around. I'll actually swing over there and get them, but that gets you how to see where that compass is riding, right like that, to score that line. You do that to all 4 feet and then trim them. When I think of it, I do the chamfering well. I have the stool clamped on the bench, and for that I just use a spoke shave. It isn't a very heavy chamfer, just enough to break those corners so that just to reduce the chance of chipping and splitting those oak feet. And just work my way around that cylinder. And it could very well be when I finish cutting these, I need to trim a little of the bottom here or there, and if that chamfer goes away, you just put it back. But it's easy to get at right now, which is trimming it. And I have one more to go. A little bit off here or there. Oh, so here it is. The moment of truth. This is when you find out what kind of day you're having. Oh, pretty good. I talked a lot about trimming these pins, but I never did it. And so before the seat goes on, it's easy to hold the stool steady on the bench. So I just use a mallet and pretty much any sharp chisel will do it. At first, it's beveled down. And I come just part way into the pin like that, and then come from the other side so as to not blow it apart coming across it like that. So a little bit from there, a little bit from there. That one was a little bit more proud than the others. Then when they're close, I take a slicing cut across the pin with the bevel up now. You see my thumb holding the chisel down like that. That's how to trim them. And there's lots of them, so something to do. Also, at the same time, this corner, I take a plane too. Just take a couple shavings off that corner, because as it is, it can be very sharp, and you want to just break that a tiny bit like that.